Today I'm going to talk to you about the only time, in my opinion, that it's okay to quit. What's going on? It's Pimp Fried Rice, and welcome to the Music into Millions podcast. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you drop a like if you're watching on YouTube. If you are watching or listening where you listen to podcasts, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way we can get more content out for you artists, so that way you can succeed without needing to wait on a record label, because let's be honest, nobody wants to wait on a record label. Nobody wants to hear me stumble over my words either, but here we are. If you know me, you know I am a big fan of not quitting. I'm a big fan of pretty much doing something until the completion of it. Just because it shows discipline, you get more projects done, and plus nobody likes a quitter. But there is one time where I think that it's okay to quit something. And that is when you are quitting a bad habit or quitting something that's going to, harm your music career or slow it down or stop you altogether. And so basically, what type of habits would that be? That would be if you have a drug habit that, you're starting to see go out of control, if you have a drinking problem, maybe even something along the lines of just smoking cigarettes and you can't spit your verses properly because now you're getting out of breath and everything like that. Those are all bad habits that you would need to quit for your music. Another example wouldn't necessarily be like an addiction like that, but it could be a bad habit of, lying whenever you're networking with people. Maybe you feel like you need to put on this big image and be this superstar even though you're not. And so you almost made a bad habit out of lying and creating this character and just manipulating people almost. So that is the only time, in my opinion, when it's okay to quit something, is when you're quitting a bad habit. And honestly, I don't even really like to use the word quit in that regards. I like to use the word replace, because whenever you go to quit something, like for instance, I used to do chewing tobacco. And one of the ways that I quit doing chewing tobacco was not just by quitting chewing tobacco. I actually had to physically replace it with something to stop me from wanting to do chewing tobacco, if that makes sense. So basically, one of the biggest times that I would chew would be when I was driving, just because, I'd have nothing else to do, so I'd put a lip in, and then just whenever I got out of the car, I'd stop. Well, for me, when I decided to quit, it was the hardest time for me was when I would be in a car, because I'd just be like, oh man, I really need a lip right now. I really just want to, do some chewing tobacco, even though I knew, no, I'm quitting. I've been making such good progress. So what I did was I actually started to chew gum or chew some type of food or have some type of drink that essentially was going to occupy my mouth or keep me, occupied mentally, so I wasn't thinking about doing it. And then over time, it eventually got to the point to where I didn't really need that crutch. But what I'm saying with that is you need to replace something, because if you just tell yourself, oh, I'm going to quit a bad habit, 9 times out of 10, you're actually going to end up going right back to that habit. You may have a good period of 6 months. You may even have a period of a year, 2, 3 years down the road, but eventually that habit will come back if all you're doing is cutting it out. Because what's happening is you're leaving a big chunk in your day, and whatever, it may not be a big chunk, like say you quit smoking, it could be 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes total out of the day. But what happens is you now have that extra 30 minutes that if you're not filling it with something or doing something positive in that time, eventually you're going to get stressed again, you're going to get angry, something is going to put you back in a mental state where you feel like, oh no, it's okay, I can just, pack that lip again, or I can smoke a cigarette, or I can smoke a blunt, or have a drink, whatever your vice is or that bad habit is. So you need to think, when I'm going from one place to the other, you're not just removing yourself. Remember, you're always putting something better in that scenario. So like I said, I don't like to use the word quit. Even when I'm quitting something, I don't use the word quit. I use the word replace. Replace it with a better habit. So this was a real short episode today. This whole week was actually pretty short episodes. So next week we'll probably get into some longer ones. But I just wanted to talk about these different thoughts and topics that were coming into my head throughout the week. Don't quit, whether it's your career or anything that you're doing right now. Just do not quit. Don't give up. If you have a bad habit, make sure you replace it with a good one. Otherwise, just keep going and don't stop. Have a great rest of your day.